Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to share a couple of techniques about how I'm preparing for my DJ set. I will show you what tracks I'm looking for, where I get them from, and how I prepare them to be ready for a DJ set. Intro. Most of the times I'm looking for music on Beatport or on SoundCloud. On these platforms for a lot of time I just followed some artists who I admired, who I liked the work, but then I had to realize that I have to follow artists that I play the same kind of music from and can inspire me. So that's what I did. If you go to my SoundCloud page and check which artists I follow, you'll find only artists that are similar in style as me. And I did the same on Beatport. I only follow artists that I consider to play their track in my show. The artists I follow on these platforms are not 100% the same, because there are many artists who release a lot of free tracks and I tend to follow them on SoundCloud, and maybe I don't follow them on Beatport. But also if I just check the SoundCloud stream, I can find their official releases there as well. So how I find new artists? Usually when I like an artist and I play more tracks from him or her, I go to the page and I check who they follow. Just go through on those profiles, and sometimes I find artists that I really like, follow them for a couple of months, and I see if I like their tracks or not. If I don't like them, I just simply unfollow them. Now let's talk about some DJ techniques what I use when I'm on the stage. When I started to learn DJing, I was learning from an old school DJ, and he teach me how to mix seamlessly. So it means that the mixing has to be really even, and you pull the volume slowly up and change the highs, the mids and the lows slowly, so not with big cuts. And the point of that is to make a seamless mixing, so the listener cannot realize that you play two different tracks. Before I knew mixing, I was using some programs on the computer and I had different tracks, and back then I didn't know it's a DJ technique. So it's like you just stop a song and play the other, and sometimes it can totally work fine. So for example, you play a track on deck A, and from the drop the track goes into the breakdown, and you change a breakdown to another song's breakdown, and after the build up you come back to the other track's drop. So that could be a DJ technique, or you don't necessarily have to go back to the other track's drop. You can maybe play a third track. Another way to mix, it's power mixing, and this is one of my favorite techniques. I do this the most on the stage. You don't slowly bring in the track, but you do harsh cuts and more intense switches between the mids, highs and the lows, and the time of the mixing it's much more shorter. Sometimes it's only 15 seconds. On power mixing you can really go crazy with the volume changes and changing the highs, use some effects. It's a more complex technique and you have to be more focused, while on seamless mixing you have to be really careful about the frequencies, for example, or don't mix on vocals. These are really important part of the mixing. If you check mixing from another point of view, you can use harmonic mixing or mixing in elements, and this can help you to make a track list blend together seamlessly. Throughout my DJ career I didn't really have a mentor, so I picked up different tricks from different DJs and I tried to implement those techniques into my style and make my own style. And this tip is from Ahmed Sendil. He told me that he likes to start his DJ sets with a track in B minor scale, or on the camelot wheel it's a 10A, because it's really cool and dubby. And he played the first track only for 1.5, maximum 2 minutes, and the next track what he is going to play, it's a vocal track, so it's really get the attention in the club. For some years I was working under Tommy Boy's label. He's a part of Crazy Ibiza and he owned the record label Pornostar Records. I also asked him how I should start my DJ sets, and he told me the first 3 tracks have to be really powerful track, because those are going to define the night, and you also have to pay attention on the last track, because that's another thing what the crowd is going to remember you from. When I started to play DJ sets, the standard length of a DJ set was 2 hours. It's more easy to keep the attention for 1 hour than for 2 hours. There are some certain techniques for that. Another time when I met Ahmed Sendil, we were talking about all night DJ sets, and I asked him how can you keep the attention on the floor for a full set, and he told me this technique which I decided to call the circle. So it contains 4 tracks. The first track have to be an instrumental track. The second track have to be a dub track with a few chops of vocals. The third track have to be a preacher track with a spoken a cappella or something. And the fourth track have to be a vocal track. And then the circle starts again. So instrumental, dub, preacher, vocal. I used this technique for years and it worked really well for me. Also, you can find yourself in situations like you play a well-known track but the crowd don't seem to move a lot. In these times you can use the echo effect on the mixer. So turn it up to quarter and set it to 1.5, and this is going to boost the energy. Also you can turn the highs up a bit and the mids. Or another thing what you can do is turn the BPM up. 128 is a cool BPM for a long show. If you also do the warm-up, make sure you work your way to 128 BPM and not start your DJ set at 128. For example, a good starting point can be 120 BPM. It's more easy to make people dance because 120 BPM is closer to the heart rate. If you're really scared about the night, or if this is your first event, you can create a track list from the first track to the last track. There's no problem with that. It takes some time to read the crowd efficiently. I still sometimes prepare my whole DJ set from the first track to the last one. I know what tracks I want to play and what acapellas I want to use, and I put them in a track list. And I create a longer track list with more tracks, so if I change my mind on the desk, I have the option to choose from different songs. Because maybe in the studio I was thinking that this DJ set is going to work really well on that event. It may not work out, and I have to change it up. And now I'm going to show you how I prepare for my DJ sets. So let's jump into Mixing Key. So when you open Mixing Key, this is what you are going to look at. Now I want you to go to Settings and go to Update Tags. And here what I like to do is write the key only. So how to update the tags. To write the key only, and I want it to be in front of the song name. And I also use this Update Custom Initial Key tag, viewable in Serato Tractor etc. I also choose that. Next to that, I go to Rename Files, and I'm going to choose Automatically Rename Files after processing. The preference for me is key and then the original file name. So I want the key to be in front of. Later, when you are preparing for the sets, or you're preparing a track list, or when you're in the DJ booth, it's more easier to find the track that's going to fit well on the track what you are playing. Then go to Key Notation, and I want to use Camelot keys, and extra key column, I don't need them. So now let's go back to the collection and put some files here. Now these files are already analyzed, but I just want to show you the process. So here is a part where it says drag your music files here. I'm going to do that. Now you can see they are analyzed, and the program automatically renamed the file, so you can find the Camelot wheel number here and then the track title. So what you're staring at now is the Camelot wheel, and you can find the numbers are in circles, and there are two circles. The outside is the major keys and the inside are the minor keys. Most of your tracks are going to be in minor scales if you're playing electronic dance music. Otherwise, you may have some track on the outer surface. You may stare at this picture and you ask, how is it going to help me? Well, my friend, you have to find it out yourself. I'm kidding, I'm going to tell you how. So, let's say you start a track on 10A, which is a B minor. We spoke about this when we were talking about how to start your DJ set. In what key should be the next track? If you want to raise the energy, you can go right side on the Camelot wheel. So from 10A, you can go to 11A. If you want to lower the energy, you can go the other way. So from 10A into 9A. And the same thing applies to any key. So if you're playing a track in 5A, you can go to 6A if you want to boost the energy. If you want to keep the energy, you can stay on 5A. If you want to lower the energy, then you can go to 4A. Now let's go into Record Box, and I'm going to show you how I prepare my tracks for a DJ set. This is how my Record Box looks like when I open it. Maybe that's a newer version. Let's add some files. These files what we analyzed. You just have to grab them and drop them in here and give some time to Record Box to analyze these. So for example, let's put the No Bio Remix in. When I'm using the hot cues, I want to set the hot cue A, where I want to switch the bass on the track, or where is a breakdown coming in. It depends on the type of the track. So I think something is going to happen right here, so right here or right here, but let's find this out. Okay, so now I have two options. If I want to mix for the drop or mix for this breakdown. I want to mix for the breakdown. So I'm going to set my first hot cue right there, and you can click here and set the hot cue there. Now I want to set my hot cue C to the point where the DJ outro is coming. Let's find it. And that's going to be the point where Bio removes the bass from the track. Right here. And now what I want to do is find a point what is approximately 1 minute away from this C point. And what I can do is just press the left arrow 4 times, 8 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's where I press the B point. Most of the tracks has a 30 seconds or 1 minute DJ intro. That's why I did that. Or also, you can set a point 30 seconds from the DJ outro. Then we go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And set the hot cue there. So if you press the arrow 8 times, it's approximately going to be 15 seconds. Now let's put another track. For example, we use Rue by Almec. And first I want to find the point where the DJ intro ends. Okay, it's here. Now let's find the point where the DJ outro starts. Okay, I think that's where I want this to be. And I'm going to do the same. Set the hot cue B 1 minute away from the DJ outro. And now it's going to make sense. On the deck A, I put no, and on the track B, I put Rue. And now, if I start the track, Rue, when no reaches the hot cue B point, only no is going to play. And then when it arrives to around here, I start to slowly introduce Rue. And when no reaches the point of hot cue C, which is where the DJ outro starts, in the track B, so in Rue, that's where the DJ outro is going to end. So this will be a perfect mixing. Let me show you. So that was close to a perfect mixing. Alright, so this is how I'm preparing for my DJ sets. I hope you find this useful and I hope you can get something out of this. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them under this video or over Discord. I will be happy to answer them. And I see you in the next time. Peace.
Who's doing what?